Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 11th Annual California Policy Summit. I'm Janice Foster Downs, Vice President of Public Policy for the California Asian Pacific Chamber of Commerce. We have a robust program prepared for you today, all centered around simplifying artificial intelligence, its role in small business, and empowering you to leverage it effectively. As we all know, AI has hit the scene strong and is ever changing and continuously moving. And today we have expert guests to set the stage from various perspectives and prime you for our culminating panel at the end. Throughout the program, we invite you to add your thoughts and questions to the chat. And if you're feeling good about what you're hearing, please send some reactions to show our guests and our speakers some love and some support. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't express our extreme gratitude for our sponsors for their support in making today possible. Thank you to our silver sponsors, DoorDash and Exxon, and to our bronze sponsors, T-Mobile, Republic Services, and System 2 Solutions. I would also like to recognize our CalAsian board members who are in attendance today. Our board chair, John Gutierrez from Comcast, Heidi Barsuglia with Verizon, Nancy Coleman Chavez with Daily Pay Inc., Kathy McKim with Hawksbill Group, Mona Pascal Rogers with Meta, and Tim Yamauchi with Inside the Mountain, LLC. And of course, I love to thank our elected officials who have come out to show their support today, including Assembly Members Eloise Gomez-Reyes and Assembly Member Stephanie Nguyen, whom you will be hearing from soon. So thank you all for your continued support for the work that we do here at the CalAsian Chamber and our service to our small businesses. And now I am happy to introduce our board chair, John Gutierrez, who is the Vice President of Regulatory Affairs for Comcast. John, John, handing it over to you.
Thank you, Janice, and good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining today's session on artificial intelligence here at the CalAsian Chamber Annual Policy Summit. I'd like to thank the team who's put this together. As always, we appreciate the valuable staff at the California Asian Chamber and what they do for our communities. I'd like to share with you a little bit about what we've been doing in the AI space as a chamber. We recognize that this technology is very groundbreaking for the business community, and we at the chamber very early on established a set of core principles to guide our advocacy and inform our members about the future of AI. And today's summit is one facet of that effort. The key principles that we'll be talking about today will shape our future as a business community and in the policy space. Therefore, it's very important that we have these principles help out our small and diverse business community here in California. I'd like to take this time to introduce Assemblymember Gomez Reyes. The Assemblymember is a longtime partner of the Chamber, and we thank her for her partnership. We are honored that she's joined us today. She was sworn into the California State Assembly in 2016 and serves the communities of Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga, Holton, Loma Linda, Bloomington, Redlands, Ontario, San Bernardino, and Rialto, which are all in her district. I'm now pleased to turn over the microphone to Assemblyman Gomez Reyes.
Thank you so much. Well, I too want to welcome everyone to this CalAsian Chamber's 11th Annual California Policy Summit. I appreciated the invitation to speak at the last legislative summit earlier this year and was honored to be named the Assembly Member of the Year. Now, as I'm moving over to the State Senate in a few weeks, I'm glad I was able to receive it before it was too late, because now I'm going to be in the Senate. I have tremendous respect for the work you all do to promote small businesses and the economic development of our small businesses. It's so important. I've worked with the CalAsian Chamber these past 4 years on various bills to increase procurement opportunities, economic development, technical assistance, and other opportunities for small businesses. It's always a pleasure to learn from the leaders and the experts within the CalAsian Chamber who remind me that tapping into our local ethnic chambers goes a long way in bringing their voices as well as expertise into the legislative process. Now, earlier this year, CalAsian Chamber, along with other ethnic chambers like the Hispanic Chamber, the African American Chamber of Commerce, sponsored my AB 2262, which would have encouraged cities and counties to adopt small business utilization plans to leverage local contracting activities to support small businesses and local economic growth. Now, we know that there are a lot of untapped potential with local contracting that small businesses can tap into when these contracting opportunities are made available to small businesses. Small businesses are the ones who are investing in our local communities. And you all hear this all the time. You're the ones that are promoting local governments to contract with local small businesses. And when we do that, it's a win-win situation. Now, instead of contracting with large corporations, we should be at all levels enabling competition so that our best small businesses come out on top. We were unable to get that bill through this year, but that doesn't take away from the importance of the policy. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. We hear it. It sounds like a cliche, but it's the absolute truth. You hire more people, you provide more money into the economy, you create more opportunities for them to thrive, and always creating these opportunities will be a priority for my office. When small businesses thrive, the overall economy thrives, as it's a great indicator for how our community is navigating the economy. If people are struggling to get by and properly invest in their businesses, then I think we can tell that the economy is not working for them. We need to address the main barriers to small businesses, to the success of small businesses, and work with advocates like you all directly on solutions that best solve the problems. Promoting small businesses is not new to me, but I do want to prioritize it when I'm in the state Senate next. Using innovative technology, policies, and working with the community directly is the best approach in my experience. To me, this means that we need to be intentional about making sure our minority and women-owned businesses get their fair share. We know that a lot of businesses exist in the Inland Empire, my area. We want to make sure that that is happening across all of California. Improving small businesses and access to capital, technical assistance, state resources, and economic opportunities are some of the things that we can do to promote local economic development. I know that today is about artificial intelligence. AI is so important. And at the last conference you all had, you had some wonderful experts, and I know you've got great panelists again today. And hearing from them about AI, not just as a general concept, but how AI can be used for your businesses. It's astounding. Even as a legislator, I learned so much hearing from those who are using AI for the betterment of all of our community. But today you're going to hear about AI specifically for your small businesses. I can tell you that I had my little notepad and I was taking notes last time. I recommend that before the panelists start, you get your notepad and you get your pen ready, because there will be lots of suggestions for you. And these are things that, although you may not understand right this moment, take the notes down. And take the name of the person who's talking about it, because you'll want to follow up with them. You have great experts speaking to you today. Take advantage of that. And me, I'm looking forward to working with all of you and all of our small business community on the ways to improve our economic opportunities for everyone, especially now that I'm entering the state Senate. Thank you all, and thank you for this invitation to be here with you today.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember. We so much appreciate your time and being here today. Thank you for your continued partnership with the CalAsian Chamber and being an ongoing champion of small and diverse businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everyone, I am now happy to introduce Assemblymember Stephanie Nguyen. Assemblymember Nguyen is another dear friend of the Chamber and of myself. She was elected to the California State Assembly in November of 2022 and represents the 10th Assembly District. She is currently the Vice Chair of the API Legislative Caucus. Prior to being elected to the Assembly, she served on the Elk Grove City Council for 5 years, as well as serving as the Executive Director of Asian Resources, Inc. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce and welcome Assemblymember Stephanie Nguyen.
Thank you, Jonice, and welcome everybody. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm glad Jonice mentioned that formerly executive director to Asian Resources, a nonprofit organization that served immigrant, refugees, low-income communities, and those that come from the community where was traditionally not served. And I tell you that because when we think about nonprofit organizations, what we don't understand is running a nonprofit organization is like running a small business. Everything that you see happen in a small business is what we have to also work with. Legislation that is passed, bills that are passed, labor laws, all of that nonprofits also have to comply with and work with as well. And so as we talk about what you're all going to hear today, AI, I can say that during COVID, it is the small business. It was the small business. It was your voices that shaped what we did for the state, because we realized, we knew, and we know now that it is our small business that really makes this world work, that really does shape the community, that really does impact all of us all around. And when we learned about that during COVID, now as we jump into this new era of AI, we know that it is the small business. We know that it's going to be experts like you all that is going to come to us as legislators and let us know what works, what doesn't work, and how we could make it better. So I can say this, that as an assembly member, when bills come forward to us, we turn to individuals and experts like you all. We turn to the California Asian Chamber and ask them for their input. And so when we all come together and we look at ways in which it's going to help us as small businesses, this is where we can thrive. This is where we can continue to shape our community. This is also where we can lift those that have barriers. We can lift those that are continuing to struggle. I often talk a lot about how I came from a low-income community, that I grew up on every single public assistance program you can think of, and that now being here, I advocate for that, right? I advocate for those communities, and I'm an advocate for all of you, because I know that many of our small businesses, if not all, the majority of them are ran by those that are of color, or ran by those that were former refugees and immigrants, and those that have come here and have made it, which is why ethnic chambers like the California Asian Chamber, the Black Chamber, the Hispanic Chamber really are the powerhouse, really are the folks that we all listen to in the Capitol. So I want to thank you for being here. I look forward to hearing what comes out of this. I look forward to hearing from all of you, not just today, not just tomorrow, but the entire time that I'm here. And I can tell you this with my full heart, is that when there are bills that come up, I do turn to the California Asian Chamber to find out where they're at on these things, because I know that they are the voice of the community, and that they take moments like this and opportunities like this to hear from what our community, our small businesses have to say. So thank you so much, Jonice. Thank you so much for putting this together, and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Nguyen. And thank you really for highlighting the importance of our small businesses, how they are the strength of our economy and the backbone of our state, and the importance of diverse businesses of color and how important they are to our community. So thank you again so much for being here. Next, I'd like to introduce you all to Pam Chua, who will now lay the landscape of our artificial intelligence in our state. Pam is the State Chief Equity Officer for the California Government Operations Agency. Sorry, that's a mouthful, or CalGovOps. She was appointed to this position by Governor Gavin Newsom in August 2022. In case you didn't know, CalGovOps is the organization that leads the implementation of strategic initiatives focused on accelerating innovation in state operations. So Pam is here today to share her insights and expertise on artificial intelligence. Thank you, Pam, for being here.
Thank you so much, Janice. First, I want to clarify, I would probably be the last person to consider myself an expert in Gen AI or AI, but certainly so glad to be here with all of you, and thank you for having me. It's been quite the week, and I'm just so glad to be able to close it out with all of you, and a special treat to be here with my friends and former colleagues from the legislature, Assembly Members Gomez Reyes and Nguyen. Shout out to both of you, miss working with you both. In addition to having known Pat and the chamber before it became CalAsian Chamber for 20 plus years, I have to share that I also have personal connections to the small business community and small business owners. As immigrants to this country from Taiwan, my parents had multiple small business ventures over the years to survive and thrive in our adopted home country. This included a wicker import business in Orange County. During my teen years, I spent my weekends working at the swap meet, learning how to set up the stand, calculating the correct sales tax for each transaction, and negotiating prices with customers. Really invaluable experience that I can now say I wouldn't trade, but maybe didn't feel that way waking up at 5 a.m. in the cold while my friends were sleeping in. Really glad Assemblymember Nguyen talked about her own experience as a nonprofit executive director and leader. Some of you may know that previous to this role, I actually also ran a small nonprofit here, very much like a small business here in Sacramento, serving families of children with disabilities. And actually, Assemblymember Nguyen, I always have to give her a shout out for having served as my coach and mentor coming into that role and just helping to teach me the ropes. But I do tell people that it was probably the most challenging role I've had. I've never worn so many hats in my life and felt so much weight on me, probably from all the hats, right? I was not only the executive director, I was also a program manager, operations, HR, accounting, payroll, IT, the janitor at times, you name it. I know many of you may be relating to that, either in starting your own businesses or still doing that each day to sustain and grow your business. There's the weight of the commitment to your customers and the employees and their families who are counting on you. I share all of that to acknowledge the incredible work each of you are doing out there to support them and our state's economy. So even with today's format, we cannot see you, but I see you. I see you and your work and your contributions. And thank you for that and taking the invaluable time from your day today to engage in policy with your government and to learn about this quickly evolving topic that is truly everywhere. A little bit about me and the work that we're doing in the administration. Thank you, Janice, for talking a little bit about GovOps. It is a mouthful. I was very humbled to be appointed by the governor 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, to this newly created role as the state's first chief equity officer, with the charge to provide leadership to our state agencies and departments in embedding equity into state operations, specifically in the areas of human resource with CalHR, procurement with Department of General Services, technology with the Department of Technology, and data. We have an Office of Data and Innovation. What does that mean? It's to ensure our workforce is representative and reflects our diverse California communities, that we have equitable access to state programs and services for all residents, including who are the limited English proficient, those that are in our communities, that are small and minority and women-owned and veteran-owned businesses have equitable access to doing business with the state. I have to admit that I didn't really know what to expect on this journey. And as someone who is admittedly technically challenged, the most unexpected part probably has been leading some of this work on Gen AI. So I am just so glad we can come together with the experts that we have today to help us better understand what it is. What is an algorithm? What is a deep fake? What are these terms you hear every day? What is the difference between AI and Gen AI? And the implications for small businesses and the world. What I'd like to share a little bit with you is the executive order that Janice referred to. As you might know, it was issued about a year ago, last September, with Government Operations Agency leading this work. And with 35 of the 50 AI companies based in California, we truly are the cradle of the industry. And what we're trying to do is leverage the benefits of this technology while also protecting against potential harms. We're taking a measured approach with a focus on shaping the future of ethical, transparent, and trustworthy AI while remaining the world's AI leader. We're working to learn about Gen AI as a potential government technology tool through use cases and testing it in controlled, safe environments. Guidelines have been developed for procurement, and new ones are being developed by myself and my colleagues to help state departments assess the potential impacts on vulnerable communities. We're aiming to improve customer service, accessibility, and public safety through a number of use cases. So, for example, at Caltrans, there's a use case using traffic modeling to try to improve highway design and roadway safety. This one may be of particular interest to you. At the Department of Tax and Fee Administration, which collects taxes from businesses, we're looking to see if Gen AI can support faster and more effective customer service to businesses by giving the call center employees quicker access to the information that is being sought. At the Health and Human Services Agency, we're working to see if we can make vital health and human service programs more accessible to people with limited English proficiency through appropriately translated content. These projects will enable us to assess whether or not the technology can work for these use cases and then potentially scaled up efforts. These learnings and best practices will be shared with our legislative partners, policymakers, stakeholders, and other governments and beyond. And to support our state government workforce, our agencies and departments are also providing trainings for our employees to use state-approved Gen AI in equitable ways. So with this emerging technology, the state will continually evaluate the most responsible ways to implement Gen AI, and I'm looking forward to hearing and learning more from our other speakers today. Thank you so much, and I want to throw in a note that may need to leave a little early today. My daughter is under the weather. She went to school to take her calculus test. She's a trooper, but once she takes the test, I may need to go pick her up and listen in from my phone. Thank you all so much for having me.
And thank you so much, Pam, for being here with your daughter being sick and everything, and just sharing those insights on what the CalGovOps team does there. And I didn't know that there 35 of the 50 AI companies are located in California. So yes, you have a huge task at hand, but thank you and your team. And thank you again for being here. Now for our folks, we're going to kind of pivot and transition a little bit because this context will help you as we move into what I'm calling our AI experience, which is going to be a demonstration that Lanika Johnson is going to head up for you today. Lanika is the founder and CEO of Philippines Remote Expert Staffing Solutions, or PRESS Staffing, which is a remote staffing company where tech-trained virtual assistants and digital service professionals empower businesses while remaining cost-effective. So Lanika is going to give us a demonstration on how you can use AI right now today in your business. Lanika, I'll turn it over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, CalAsian Chamber, for having me today. I am very excited to share my experience with AI with California small businesses. As Janice explained, I am Lanika E. Johnson. I am the CEO and founder of PRESS Staffing. We are based in Davao City in the Philippines. And even though I'm from California, I love the fact that I am able to bridge the gap between our two cultures for the small business community. So we have real people leveraging AI for your business. And today I am excited to share with you how we leverage AI to make sure that you are more efficient and can get your work done faster. So let's get started. I think we're going to call this the AI tool showdown today. So let's meet our contenders. I am going to share my screen. If you guys can just follow along with me now. I know that we're short on time, so I'm going to get right into it, and let me know if you are able to see this screen. If not, let me know in the chat that you can't see it, and I'll make some adjustments. So what you see here are 3 different tools. Now, there are plenty of tools that you can use, but these are the 3 that I probably use the most. All right, so first we're going to talk about ChatGPT. ChatGPT really excels in its conversational abilities and creative problem solving. Perplexity is known for real-time information retrieval and data analysis. Gemini is a multimodal expert. It handles text, images, things like that. I always say that Gemini is good for the things that you would Google, right? It pulls directly, it's a Google product, so it pulls directly from Google. So we're going to do a live demonstration of a company that I created. It's a fake company, it's a fictional company called TVs Are Us. So I created some pretend documents. So let me see if I can pull those up for you guys so you can see. So I created some pretend documents, some pretend reports, and we're going to use these reports to do our demonstration today. So first, we're going to have ChatGPT analyze the marketing strategy report. So let's open that up. So this is the marketing strategy report, and I'm just going to literally copy and paste. Now, with ChatGPT, if you have the paid subscription, you can actually upload the document. But for today's purposes and for speed, I'm just going to copy it in there. And I am going to tell it, I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to say, please analyze this report. And let's watch what it does. And just that fast, right? It starts to analyze the report. So let's go down. I think I'm going to have to make this bigger so you guys can actually see what it does. Let me know if you guys. Oh. There we go. There we go. All right. So this is a detailed analysis of each campaign from the report, right? So it breaks it all the way down. And it tells you what the smart TV launch did, the objective, the duration, what the budget was, the channels, the results. And it does that for every campaign that you had in this marketing report. Okay, so that's ChatGPT, right? So you can see how it does that. Perplexity is one that a lot of people don't know about. So let's go to Perplexity so I can show you guys how that works. Now, the thing that I like about...
Sorry, as you get to Perplexity, can you try to restart your share screen so that it's full screen on your screen share? We're getting some comments that the video is small for people. So sorry to interrupt your flow there.
Oh,
we want to make sure people can see.
Are you able to see it now?
It's just that having your video and the screen share next to each other is a bit small. So if you stop and then start again, yeah, just on the window, that would be perfect.
Okay. Here we go. I apologize for that, you guys.
Leftmost icon, I think.
The leftmost. Okay. All right, how's that?
Lovely. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so let me go back real quick. I want to make sure that you guys were able to see ChatGPT. Okay, so this was my input. I'm not quite sure why it's so long here, but my input was just, I copied and pasted the report, right? And then ChatGPT did all of this. So hopefully you guys were able to see that. So let's go over to Perplexity. Now, are you able to see Perplexity? Let me know if you can or if you cannot, and I will make adjustments. Hopefully you're able to see Perplexity.
Yes.
So what I like about Perplexity is that Perplexity is much better at data analysis. And what I always tell people is do not use ChatGPT for things that you depend on data-wise, because ChatGPT makes up things. ChatGPT will make up sources and it will cite things that never existed. But the great thing about Perplexity is that Perplexity is pretty accurate and it always lists its sources that it cited at the end. So let me go back to this report so you guys can see. All right, so let's do the same thing with this one. Let's copy and paste it into Perplexity and see how Perplexity does the same function as ChatGPT. And what you're going to see at the end of this is that it will give you the actual places that it pulled the information from, right? Recommendations, all these things. And you can go to the top. If you're on your phone, it'll show up right there. Otherwise, oh, it's embarrassing me today. It's not doing what I told it to do. But you can actually use these different tools here to go through more advanced models, and it'll give you an even more thorough, advanced analysis. So this actually, you see how that looks, right? So that's even more advanced. ChatGPT doesn't usually give you anything quite this advanced. Okay, so this is the report. Now you can say, please cite sources for a research project to grow my business based on this analysis. And it's gonna look for case studies. It's gonna find articles. See, it's doing all the work. It's reading, best practices, brand, blog suite. All right, so here's all of the sources. 9 creative ways to improve your brand, 25 best practices. All right, so now you have even more information. Key metrics to track, what you should track, all of these things. Now, I'm gonna blow your mind. So now what I'm gonna do is I am going to ask Perplexity to summarize all of these results. And once it summarizes all of the results, then we're going to go over to Gemini, and I'm going to show you something over there. So these are all the results summarized. All right, right here, I'm going to hit copy, and I'm going to take you over to Gemini. Fine. Gemini, there it is. Okay. So we're going to go to Gemini. Gemini is the one that is owned by Google. The thing about Gemini is that for me, it's very high level, right? It doesn't get down into the details. Use Perplexity for that. But watch what it does when you put this information here. This is our campaign overview. You're going to put it in here. It's going to automatically read it. And it's going to give you a suggested structure for putting together a presentation based on your campaign overview. The other thing that I like about Gemini, see, it gives you all the slides, exactly how it should be. The other thing that I like about Gemini is that Gemini gives you different drafts. So if you click show drafts, it's going to show you three different versions of what you just did. And you can go through and see if you like this one better, or do you like this one better, right? And each one should be different. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. So I'm going to say copy this, and we're going to go back to ChatGPT. And we are going to say, please create a cover slide image for this presentation. And then you're going to copy that presentation here. And then you're going to let ChatGPT create an image for you. So now you have your marketing campaign. right? You have some tools that you can go and research further if you want to add more content, or you can just let ChatGPT, Gemini, or Perplexity create the content for you. And then here in ChatGPT, I don't know if all of you guys knew that you could create your images in directly in ChatGPT. So it's created the image now. It takes a little longer to do images than it does the other things. You see how everything else came very, very fast. With the images, it's processing. It's reading everything. It's processing. It's going to give you an image for the cover. Hopefully it doesn't say that it has an error since it wants to play with me today. Come on. All right, I'll come back to that. So while it's thinking, let's go back to Perplexity. I'm going to copy the exact same slideshow here, and I'm going to say, please add case studies to this presentation. And what I like about it is that these will be real case studies. They won't be case studies that ChatGPT made up. These will be real companies. Okay, so Gump's Testing Culinary, Spearmint Love, right? Key learnings for market leaders, campaign best practices, brand awareness, impact, implementation recommendations, right? Google's Home Alone again, Apple's Make Someone's Holiday. So it gives you the content. All right, so now that we have this, I'm going to copy it just because I want to have it in case we need to use it on another slide. Let's go back to ChatGPT. All right, so now this is a cover slide. And what you do with this cover slide is I will download it. I'll take it into Canva and I'll fix up the words, but I have a basic image. Now I'm going to say, please create a character that I can use on each slide to point to key items. So it's going to do that. And while it's thinking there, we're going to go back to Gemini. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to copy what we did over in Perplexity. Now, this is what I call AI hacking. I make them all talk to each other because now you have something that is unique. It's not copy and pasted from something else. This is your presentation. It is something that you created. And now it's not just something that just came up from the internet because it's something somebody else put up. You're going back and forth and you're making it talk to each other. You're making it improve, right? So all these things. So these are all great. These are all great case studies. But what I want it to do, and I'm going to put this here, and this will be the last thing. What I want it to do is please create 5 social media posts for all platforms based on this presentation. And so now you're going to get content that you can use every day and put into a content calendar. So here are your posts for Twitter and Facebook. Our 2023 campaigns crushed it, right? Learn more, Instagram and LinkedIn, the caption, TikTok, right? So isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? If this is helpful, put a 1 in the chat. If you're not following me, put a 2. But if you are following me and this is helpful, put a 1 in the chat. I love AI. I love all of the things that you can do with AI. So let's go back to ChatGPT. And now you have a character that you can use in your slideshow. And if you click on it, it will take you here. And now you can download it and you can give it to your graphic designer. You can have them create different scenarios with this same character, but now you have a character that you can use for everything. So hopefully this was helpful for you all today. I'm super excited to have had the opportunity to share that with you. And just remember that the AI assistants, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, each bring unique strengths to the table. These tools can impact your marketing, your sales, supply chain, customer retention, any report that you can pull from your data you can use that to help you build your business, grow your business, get more efficient, get faster. And integrating AI can lead to just more data-driven decisions and better customer experiences. So if you would like the prompts that I used, you can send an email to Matt at Trash Logic or Matt at Press Staffing, Matt at pressstaffing.com, and he'll send you the prompts that we used today. And you can follow me on Instagram at Lenika Johnson. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shanice.
Okay. All I can say is wow. I saw lots of wows in the from the audience. Lenika,
Wonderful.
thank you. I definitely have been underutilizing all of the AI tools, and I didn't even know about how to make them talk to each other. So thank you, thank you. I hope everyone else was wowed and as awed as I am, because that was just simply great. Thank you for being here and sharing this. So,
Thank you.
and everyone, I hope this is something that you were able to take away and be able to apply this immediately. That was the goal here, that you could take something away and apply it immediately in your daily business. Okay, so now that we've set the stage of AI at the state level, we've given you some practical tools. Now we want to bring it all together with our just exciting panel here, a panel of experts that we have. So we have our moderator here, which is Nate Hatterley, and he is going to lead our panel discussion here with our team. Nate is the senior advisor for Cavitat Strategies, which is a public affairs firm which specializes in coalition building, strategy planning, media relations, and communication. And I've had the opportunity to work with Nate, who has been a pleasure. And thank you for being here and heading up our panel today. I'm going to turn it over to you, Nate. Take it away.
I appreciate it, Janice. It's been a pleasure working with you this year on so many important issues across the state. We at Cavitat Strategies, we specialize in small business advocacy, and one thing that's been a big key factor this year is AI and implementing AI. So I am extremely happy to have a great panel with us today. First, I'll introduce Lewis Stewart, with the head of strategic initiatives at NVIDIA's global developer ecosystem, the NVIDIA Corporation. Also with us today is Christopher Lafayette. He's the founder of Gatherverse, and Ajali Sen, who's the data and analytics leader at Accenture. So I'm grateful to have our panelists with us today. They are very much more well-informed on AI and everything that it can do, and I'm excited to get their expertise. And I'm the one that is not the expert. Hopefully, I can be a surrogate for everybody else here that can help kind of break it down and make it more understandable for us all as we get a lot of information from our panelists. So. I'll first start the conversation. I'll pass the first question over to Chris, the founder of Gatherverse, and Chris, can you define some of the basic aspects or tools of AI for our audience today? Some of the how things are changing and kind of what trends you see.
Sure. So if we just I'll just be brief in my remarks. I'm certainly happy to be here with everyone today, and what a great policy summit so far. And there's been a lot of information that's already been distributed out. And so when we come from like this explosion from November 2022, we saw a lot of generative AI, if you will, and we're still seeing a scalability when it comes to generative AI. We're seeing platforms like OpenAI. We're seeing platforms like AWS. We're seeing platforms like Anthropic. You're hearing platforms of what Microsoft is doing with Copilot. You're seeing a lot of different models that are out here. But if we think about the scalability where we're at now, you have to consider that we have open source and closed source systems. You have Llama 3.1, 3.2 by the Metacamp. They have incredible now, just this summer, have thrown out incredible open source models that are free. No premiums needed, no subscriptions. You can download that today at Llama 3.2. Excellent for small businesses. You have camps like OpenAI that have been progressive from 3.5 in terms of their models. And these are family of models is what we call them. From going from GPT 3.5 to GPT 4.0, now we're getting into what we call extended chain of thought reasoning. What does that mean? That means that these models have the computational capacity to be able to think longer and to think further. And so a lot of the work that we're doing with NVIDIA and a lot of the work that we're working with Microsoft that I'm working with right now, that I'm so thankful to be part of, we're working on these chain of thought extended reason models. A lot of people don't realize the magnitude of what's just happened in the past 2 months, let alone the past week, when it comes to what we're seeing with AI. Why is this such a big deal? Because I once said, what happens when the technology becomes more advanced than a technologist? In a lot of ways, this has now come to pass, and these models are coming at such a dramatic feat and at such a dramatic clip that a lot of small businesses, corporations, enterprises are having a difficult time keeping up when it comes to these models. So we're going to simplify this down for our small business community, who we all have a special place in our heart for, because without small business, there is no business. So here's the deal. The models that you want to use today, I'm a huge fan of OpenAI. I'm a huge fan of Llama. Those are going to be in my top 2. I'm not a huge fan of Google Gemini because of the data suck that they take. They take a lot of things when it comes to your data extraction, the way they use your data. I'm being completely transparent with our communities. I'm being completely honest. I like OpenAI and some of the safety protocols that they have. I also like Anthropic. What does this mean? If you're going to use something that has anything to do with code, Anthropic is your friend. If you're going to use something when it comes to small business strategy, OpenAI is a tremendous friend, especially when you have the O1 preview model, when you have the premium account, and you have the O1 mini. Remember those 2 models, they're great for you. Now, here's the other consideration that we must look at. And one of the reasons why NVIDIA is doing so fantastic, because they do wonderful things when it comes to what we call AI developing your own models. There are some of you, some businesses out there that can afford to have your own models. In fact, you can afford to take the open source model from Meta, download that, and use that in your own on-premise device for your internal operations. You can use that today for free, but you'll need to go NVIDIA to get your hardware H11s and all of that. I'm here to help anybody, guide me with that. I'm not asking for your money, here to guide for free. So those are some of the things that we're looking at. And then lastly, finally, Canva AI for your marketing, OpenAI for your strategy, Anthropic for your code. Take advantage of open source models and closed source. It's the way to go.
Chris, that was a great overview. World's fastest speaker out here. And I appreciate that. And Chris gave us a lot of great overview of a lot of sources, a lot of things that we have access to as a small business. So we'll make sure that we capture that. And if there are any questions, we can get that out. But a great segue, I think, right over to NVIDIA with Louis. I think that, Chris set you up on a pedestal. And so I would love to hear more, Louis, from you about, how can small businesses leverage what NVIDIA resources are there, and what resources really are there that NVIDIA has that everybody participating can participate in.
Yeah, so thank you, Nate and Chris. Yeah, you do talk really, really fast. And if anybody was on and followed Lineka, what she was talking about with the 3 platforms, I have those 3 windows open all the time. And I have all of my folks, I call them folks, talking to each other pretty much all day long. So it's a good hack to use the tools that she was talking about. Now, as far as what small businesses can use today out of NVIDIA, I'm going to put something in the chat. Some models that are open for everybody right now at ai.nvidia.com. This platform is a go-to for small businesses exploring AI. It provides access to AI tools, pre-trained models, and frameworks you can use right away to prototype and deploy AI solutions without needing a team of experts, right? But then you move into what Chris was talking about, where you may need some AI experts to do some stuff, and that's where we have training and certifications. So through our Deep Learning Institute and some of the other platforms that we have, NVIDIA offers easy access training to get your team up to speed on AI, so that you don't actually have to hire from outside. But if you do, we're actually working with the state and working with some other folks to get students trained up so that hopefully in the not too distant future, you'll be able to hire locally from your local community college or state college some students that'll be able to help you get up to speed. We have a whole startup program called Inception. And so if you're a startup, NVIDIA's Inception program offers tech support, mentorship, and sometimes even marketing help to get your AI initiatives off the ground a whole lot faster. You heard a lot about generative AI. And so generative AI for content and customer service, I think those are huge. And so our generative AI tools allow small businesses to create customer support responses, marketing content, and more, all automatically. And so it's a huge time saver and keeps your engagement consistent. And I think you saw some of that in the demo earlier. And for a lot of you that may not know, uh, I'll stop for a second and just explain. NVIDIA is what you call the base layer for a lot of the AI that's happening today. For instance, for OpenAI, they were one of our first inception companies. They had one of our first DGX computers or platforms into their research. And so OpenAI and ChatGPT was trained on 10,000 of our GPUs. And so Microsoft is training a lot of their stuff on our platform. Meta is training on our platform. So so we're the base layer for a lot of this stuff. So you think of us as a GPU provider, platform provider, and so we go full stack. So from the coding with CUDA all the way to the systems, even yeah. So Chris, to everyone, not all small businesses operation can afford that stuff, and that's where you go to the ai.nvidia.com because you can play around with some things. And then, yeah, I think, Nate, the next question, I don't know if you asked it already because I already lost track, is what's coming and why it's exciting. Uh, Custom AI chatbots and Insight with platforms like Nemo Retriever, businesses can connect directly to their own data, create highly specific chatbots, which would actually be really good for the state. And other tools that can answer unique questions and for about the products and services. Imagine the DMV using that. Easier access to with cloud partnerships. So we partner with pretty much everybody. We're industry agnostic. We're working with Microsoft and Google so that small business can access NVIDIA's AI platforms directly from these platforms. So there's not necessarily a need to have the in-house tech. It's flexible, affordable, and scalable. And why this stuff all matters is these tools and upcoming developments. Small business can use AI to save time, deliver more personalized customer experience, and make smarter decisions about without needing massive budgets and dedicated tech teams. Our mission is AI for good, AI for economic development, AI for climate and sustainability. And we want to make AI simple and accessible, helping small businesses grow and succeed in the tech-driven world.
I love that, Louis. That's great missions. Great. I think that there's a lot of, we've talked about this previously. There's a lot of fear around AI, and I think helping people understand what AI is and what it can do, how it can help us, kind of alleviate some of that stress and fear that maybe coming into this might have. So thank you for that breakdown and understanding a little bit more about NVIDIA's resources and how to help your folks talk to to each other, your people, your AI people talk to each other. And I appreciate that. I've had each of you had your own questions. I think we'll kind of do a little bit more. I've got a couple more other questions that I kind of want to get a little bit information from each of you. But now that we, AI and really ChatGPT, that's kind of what a lot of people have gotten to know really quick. I read a report that ChatGPT got more users in the first 6 months than Facebook got in the first 6 years. It's very fast moving, and as Chris had mentioned, there's Llama 3.5, 3.0, or 3.5. I can't remember which one you mentioned, but there are new iterations of AI as it continues to learn and data gets put in and more users are there. So with that being said, I would like Chris, Louis, Ajali, sorry. I would like you all to kind of get with that in perspective. With the pipeline as fast as it's moving, really, what are some of those tools that you see down the road as opportunities for small businesses to kind of get to understand AI now, so that as those things down the pipeline, and you don't have to divulge, information, especially NVIDIA, there's things that proprietary information that you guys are working on, but I think opportunities that we foresee down the pipeline, what do we see coming down? Chris or
I
Lewis?
think that's a really good question, Nate. And here's the reason why is because it's really fascinating that last year we saw a lot of companies that got recent funding, startups, and some that were already at billion-dollar valuations plus, they're no longer on market. Part of that reason is because to sustain the computation of what it takes to power AI. And now we're coming to appreciate the more capable artificial intelligence becomes, the more power and compute it's going to need. That means microchips, that's going to be hardware investment. What does that mean? Back to your question, Nate, is that all of you that are listening, there's probably a ton of models that you're seeing that are coming out there. But as a small business, my best bet would be the ones that have well funding and the ones that you could foresee staying around for at least 5 to 10 years. Because I guarantee some of the models you're using today, they cannot keep up with the level of competitive theater, and they're being acquisitioned in to maybe Microsoft, they're being acquisitioned in to maybe ChatGPT. If you look at the investments, even ChatGPT had to take in $10 billion investment when they first started from Microsoft, because you got to look at the cloud sources. Google Gemini has its Google Cloud. You have Azure with Microsoft, and then you have AWS with Bedrock, which is Amazon. And Anthropic had to take about a $4.1 billion investment. Why is Nate's question so important? Because I know there's going to be a ton of models out there you're going to want to have fun with, you're going to play with, fine. But when it comes to your financial investments, you don't enjoy a healthy budget to try everything out. To me, stay within these operations that have really good, capable partners and good cloud compute. And lastly, I'll say is this: when you're using these models, as an emerging technologist, I study about 270 technologists. That's just my profession. I have a lot of fun with OpenAI and Llama 3.2. The reason is because I know they're well backed, they're well funded, and the teams and the work that goes into there and the relationship they have like with NVIDIA, they're really scaling in the best way in the world, the best products in the world, including Microsoft with what they're doing with the agentics, although that's still early days. Roll with those that have been doing it for some time. And I'll say this lastly, stay with those AI platforms that have been active in AI before the AI boom. And that will tell you about what's coming down the pipeline. Any of us are always available to help you, to guide you in a good way, and to make good financial investments.
Thank you, Chris. Lewis?
I'll just say what Chris said. I mean, he put it the most plainly, right? I mean, if I'm a small business looking to get into this space, I am playing with Perplexity. I am playing with ChatGPT, the paid versions. Myself, if I'm a small business, I'm actually going to go take a prompt engineering course so that I actually understand how to ask the AI to do what it is that I want to do. I'm also going to take the time to build my own ChatGPT within ChatGPT, so that it does exactly what you want it to do, well, closer to exactly what it is that you want to do. Because those are the ways where you're actually fine-tuning your own model to help you with your customers, to help you with your financial situation, to help you with what it is that you're trying to do, versus kind of the general population, if you will, of the open model, right? So invest in yourself, and take some courses. There's a lot of prompt engineering courses out there right now. Actually go ahead and pay the $20-$30 a month for the platforms, so that you can actually get the elevated version that actually gives you more direct, succinct answers that can search the web, that can cite sources, and so on and so forth. And then, lastly, just start customizing so that You reduce kind of some of the noise that's out there, and it actually helps you get to where it is that you want to be.
Anjali, I'll toss the question over to you as well.
Yeah, and I think I'll just add on to this to say that also assess where you can leverage your existing investments. Not all of those might be throwaway. So there are several platforms which are integrating generative AI capabilities and solutions. You might have them, you might not have them. But one of the things that we tell to every client that we go and talk to is try to leverage your existing investments, be that in a cloud solution, be that in a particular data platform like Databricks, which has some native, Gen AI capabilities through DBRX, or be that in a call center platform that you might have, which will have, generative AI skills. So I think assessing where you already have invested and where you can leverage some of those inherent Gen AI skills of that platform is also important. And I think especially relevant for small businesses. And then, of course, everything else stated in like training and upskilling, whether it's yourself or it's your staff, I think that's going to be key. And it's the same for small businesses or like a huge, organization. We always say the same thing. A generative AI solution cannot be successful if your people do not know how to use it, or if your people are not educated enough about what you can use generative AI for versus what a human should still be doing. So
that is great insight. Great insight from you all. I really appreciate that. I know we've got about 10 minutes left of our portion before we open up some questions, but so there's a couple more questions that I would like to pose. We'll take a couple minutes on answering each of these. Really, today might be a lot of new information for the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the chamber representatives that might be on here from across the state. I think was mentioned that there was 100 or so group people on board today. But this might be the first introduction they have of what AI is and how to access the different tools. If there was one thing that you would like people to take away from today, what would that be? And I'll pass it to Louis first, since I'm moving it around a little bit.
Well, so the one thing that I want everybody to hear loud and clear, and I go around the country saying this, the change in AI is happening at an exponential rate. The next 2 to 5 years are going to be, amazing with what is coming next. But at the same time, it's going to be super overwhelming for small businesses, for underrepresented communities, globally. So the one takeaway that I need everybody to hear loud and clear is to jump in. Right? Sitting on the sidelines right now isn't the best idea for you personally, for your families, for your businesses. So jumping in and learning how all this stuff works, at least at a baseline level, is critical. Because, if you listen to the World Economic Forum, you listen to economists around the world, it's not really a displacement that's going to happen. It's more replacement, right? So even for small businesses that learn how to use AI tools the fastest are going to have more success moving forward versus small businesses that don't. Same for individuals. The mention of training was a few times today. If your folks aren't trained up in AI, more than likely they're going to be replaced by people that know how to use AI. And so, jump in now and ride the wave.
Great. Anjali, sorry, I'm trying so hard to say it correctly. Anjali.
No, it's fine. And every day there is something new. But just having, speaking from the perspective of doing a lot of AI implementations in the last 2 decades, and especially now with the wave of Gen AI, I would say if there's one thing I want everybody to take away, of course, what Louis said, like just jump in, right? I know everybody says AI will not replace your job, but somebody who uses AI and understands AI will replace your job. But at the same time, be mindful of what you're using generative AI for. It needs to be tied to some of your strategic goals, right? Not just using generative AI because it's cool, because we are able to. I think just I see this all the time with people being very excited, clients being very excited about using generative AI, but we always bring them back to what are your top 3 ideas and just be realistic in that and say, okay, this is what we'll implement in the next 6 months. So if there's one thing I want to tell everybody, it is to see just have your key strategic goals, map them to where generative AI can really make an impact and implement like 2 of those ideas, but get your feet wet with those 2 ideas and then go on to the next and assess, choose those 2 ideas based on what is most impactful and what is most relevant to your business. Like what we discussed for each of these departments that implemented generative AI, they came with their biggest challenge, whether it was just doing translations efficiently, whether it was better customer service in a call center, or it was really producing a very labor-intensive manual document. So it could be different things for different businesses, but I think it's important to just prioritize what you want to implement and do.
Thank you. Chris, anything to add that hasn't been mentioned? Takeaways for today?
Absolutely. This is that when we first came onto the scene with 3.5 GPT in November, most technologists in the world were thrown off because we weren't expecting this level of AI to come to the world for at least another 10 years. The level of technology at its rapid clip that Lewis and Audrey has both expressed to, we've never seen technology move and behave like this because we're not dealing with iterative scale like a product like an iPhone. What we're really dealing with is an applied science. And into that is that's difficult for even our technologists to wrap their mind around. I can attest that I've been talking about this technology for years, and no one in the world, even the biggest experts, the Yan LeCuns and the Jeffrey Hittons, Jensen Wong, none of them can keep up with the level in its entirety. But here's the point. As Lewis said, to jump in, what I did was before we had this policy summit and gave it to our California Policy Summit folks here that are hosting this wonderful event, I created the ultimate guide to AI adoption for small business for everyone. It's 46 pages. It's really good information. It wasn't just derived entirely from GPT, because what I want the takeaway to be for you is this: to take that guide. I hope that you embrace this. To take that guide, there's a ton of good information, even for me, for all kinds of people. We need to help and support you. We need to open source our access to what we have. It's taken me months to build that guide. I don't know if all of you will get it. It's in my heart that you will receive it. But here's my biggest takeaway to give you today, is that the mind that you have is the most advanced machine on the face of this earth. When it comes to using these models, don't ask what this model can be able to do for you. Take what's in your mind and give it to that and let it process what it is that you have so that it can expand on your own foundation. I know that may sound difficult in scope, but we have to realize that we're dealing with a machine that can see us, that can hear us, the conversational AI with what we call multimodal capability. We are building relationships, and this is why we call them a family of models. They're being raised up and grown and groomed. The biggest takeaway for small business is to leap in, take off where you can, do not stand on the sidelines. You can't afford to be there. You will be obsolete. We saw this happen, Nate, with social media and the rise therein. And many businesses were around for decades and they did well, but they didn't want to have an online presence. And they didn't realize that most people were making their financial decisions by applications, iPhone and Android. And those businesses fell out. Get in the game, be a first mover. You don't have to be an expert. None of us really are. But get in the game and use it. And oh, please, I beg you to let me just say this one last thing. OpenAI, Anthropic, Microsoft, NVIDIA, all they've done is they have created pots and pans and they've delivered it to the world of us, the chefs.
And what they really want to see is what dish will you make? Because no one knows completely the capability of these models. And believe it or not, you as a small business owner, you may find yourself as a pioneer. You may use these models in ways that no one else has been able to use it and offer that as a value added benefit to the world. And it can do really good for you financially, for you and your business and your families.
Chris, you are
Great.
Yeah, I'm speechless at this point. Chris, that was beautifully said. You have a passion unlike anybody else in this industry, and I appreciate the time and energy that the three of you have put in. Like I said, you guys are way smarter in this whole situation and in the whole industry than I am. This is, I've got a question here in the chat. We're going to open up here for questions. I will say, since this is a policy summit, I was going to pose this as a question, but I will reiterate this point to everybody, since we are talking policy. This year, the 2024 legislative session in California, there were 48 bills to regulate AI introduced. The governor has a commitment and issued a statement on it, and his commitment towards AI and tech and innovation in California. I will say that as a small business owner, work closely with the California Asian Chamber of Commerce and your local your local chambers of commerce, and they're the ones that are really dovetailed into the legislative session and everything that's coming out. We anticipate more bills will be introduced next year to regulate AI and to kind of have some oversight on that. So be engaged with the California Asian Chamber, be engaged with your local chamber as those are coming out. So there was a question here in the chat that I wanted to pose to you. I think it was directed towards Lewis. But anybody can answer this. He says, Lewis's point, underrepresented communities, how can those of us in the digital equity space introduce AI to the digital literacy classes so that vulnerable communities are not left behind as users and being represented?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. So one is probably going to be setting up similar workshops like the one Leneka gave today, right? I think, if you're in the digital literacy space, sit down, use the tools, and do workshops teaching people how to use the tools, whether it be for translation, whether it be for you name it. You can come up with the models you can use, but I think the few small business workshops that I've done around ChatGPT literally has been where I have people download it however they can on their cell phones, on their laptops, whatever. And then do live working sessions. I ask them for the prompts, I ask them for whatever, and talk them through how to utilize it so they can actually see real time how stuff actually happens. And you got to go into the community and do this. The couple sessions I did were with minority-owned businesses, just to get them aware of the capabilities of some of the tools that are out there.
Thank you, Lewis.
Yep.
Pam, I see you have a question, and we've got another question in the chat after Pam.
Hey, everyone. I actually wanted to offer a resource. I really appreciated that last question about digital literacy. That is something we very much had to take into consideration as we were conducting our stakeholder engagement, as we were developing our guidelines for impact on vulnerable communities, and realizing that we have to meet the communities where they are and ensuring that they are speaking the same language as we are. And thank you, Lewis, for nodding your head there along with me. So we actually utilize this nonprofit organization called AI and You. I'll drop it in the chat. It's a nonprofit led by a former executive, I believe, from Google, with the intent of educating all of us. And I actually they have like short couple-minute videos you can watch on, what is AI? What's your footprint? I used it myself. I love how all of us are here many of us saying, we're not the experts. We're not the experts. Maybe Chris is. But yeah, I would encourage you taking a look at that website and looking into the organization, and perhaps even reaching out to them to partner on some literacy events. Thanks for allowing me to chime in.
Of course. Thank you so much for the insight, Pam. We value that a lot. Um, the other question I have here from Tim is, what's the panel's opinion on both the timing and impact of AGI?
So I'll jump in real quick, and then I'll let Chris, the expert, talk. AGI is going to be transformational. If I'm reading the tea leaves, you'll see AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, within the next 5 years. It's not a 10, 20-year thing, just because of the speed at which the processing power is progressing, and the size with which the models and data is being processed. You'll see artificial general intelligence in the next 5 years.
Sure. Audrey, did you want to say something before I did?
No, I was actually just putting it in the chat, but please go ahead.
Sure, of course. My brief thoughts on AGI, artificial general intelligence, that's been said. If I had to be a little bit transparent in thought, I mean, right now we're in simple narrow AI. We're in the scale towards AGI. A lot of people say, hey, we're seeing glimmers of it, we're seeing it happen now. The next would be theory of mind, self-aware, and then super intelligence, and then cosmic AI. Let me throw this out here, though, in using these naming conventions, because in the scientific community, since we're dealing with an applied science, you'll take someone like Professor Ian LeCun, who says, AGI, we shouldn't look at general intelligence like that in the first place. We look at human intelligence. You'll take someone like Jeffrey Hinton, Nobel Prize winner, says AGI all the way. I prefer to go with both of the narratives. I think they belong within the ecosystem. But let me say this. We, for all these years, have had Alan Turing, who was a brilliant mind decades ago. And he said, okay, this is the Turing test. And this is how we know that we get to artificial general intelligence. And we had a test, and we've been waiting for that test or for the results to come in with the models that we've seen with things like CNNs, convolutional neural networks, GANs, so forth and so on. Guess what? Alan Turing's test, throw it out the window. Because either we reached a test and we've already surpassed it, or we have pushed the bar so high that the test continues to move. Here's the deal. We're in what we call frontier intelligence. Everything that we had before generative pre-trained transformers have come out, we did not know the way to go, to the point where we're still processing the power of deep neural networks, the GPU, machine learning, language. Why is this so important, this question? Because here's the deal. We cannot look at artificial intelligence as a single variable equation. It's a multivariable equation. One day soon, sooner rather than later, if we're really talking about artificial general intelligence, it is going to hyperscale us and hyper-accelerate us to the point that in the orders of magnitude, that these models that we speak with today in our phones, in our devices that we talk to, that we tap to, we will be having human eye resolution and human eye standards and hyper-realistic immersive simulated conversations with them to the point where Nate, Audrey, and Luis, and myself could 100% be AI, and you wouldn't even know it because we're human eye resolution. Well, what does that mean, Chris? Aren't models only small length in what it is that they compute and process? That's where chain of thought reasoning comes in. To be able to have extended chain of thought reasoning, these models will be remembering way further than what it is that we realize today. And it's happening sooner rather than later. Here's the final close on this. If you're dealing with artificial general intelligence and super intelligence, we're working on ethical super intelligence studying and hyper policy right now as a lab. We're focused on that. We're really hyperscaling on that, understanding what does this mean. This means that not only will AI be able to surpass our way of processing and the way that we do things as society, as humans, because it really is just an extended reality of us or nature, if you will. But here's the deal. These models will begin to speak in their own different languages. They will have to have their own different languages. They'll be working in concert with one another. None of this is in a Terminator movie, and none of this is hype, and none of this is make-believe. I'll say this. I just did a 15-page report. We dropped it today on the transition from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. That's hard to say, but that's fine. But we just did that today, and to realize that there's going to be less regulation, less safety protocols that's going to be reliant to the states. And less federal regulation means more frontier intelligence unlike anything we've ever seen before. Deepfakes galore, automata galore, human technologicus galore, all of that. Here's the point. We're heading into unknown territory. So the chamber that we have, the different folks that are in this space, one another, will build together and figure out the way forward. But very soon, and sooner rather than later, these models are going to be so capable that they will surpass everything that we know about the work structure of what we live today. But the one thing they'll never be able to do is to replace the human code. As I said before last year at a major conference, AI cannot procreate and it does not have a grandma, meaning that the things that are inherent, your culture that you have, that you've been given at birth, AI will never be able to duplicate that. And that is your sovereignty, if you will. That is yours to have and to keep. And it can never duplicate what it is that's been given through the ages and dispensations of time itself. That is yours. But that comes from a place as well. Those are the things that we have to contribute to society. Your cultural benefit can never be duplicated. It can never be hacked. It can never be repeated. It can never be simulated. That is the thankful thing that you get to carry with you. Tap into that and complete that and to be able to contribute that to technology. And now you have a unique offering to the earth, if you will. That is the thing that you can rest assured. So don't lose any sleep on the capabilities of these models. This isn't Terminator. They don't have that capability. And when they are weaponized, just know that you'll be in a better place knowing that they'll never be able to take the thing that you've been given with, that you've come to arrive to this earth with. That's what I got.
You know, Sarita Lee just said it perfect in the chat that you dropped the mic, Chris. It was perfectly well said. I appreciate all three of your comments. Anjali, thank you for your comments responding to the question in the chat. This has been a very informative panel. I am very honored to be among the four squares here, that it has been an honor working closely with you, getting to know each one of you and participating in this conversation. Thank you all for the comments in the chat and for the questions that you have posed. The transparency that the three of you have brought to this topic, I really appreciate it. I know it is a very touchy subject, and I appreciate you all taking time to break it down, help us understand, to demonstrate and show your passion, wearing it on your sleeves. You guys are truly experts in this and helping us all pave the path forward and helping small businesses to understand what tools there are in their belt. So thank you very much. Janice, I will pass the mic that Chris dropped. I'll pick it up off the floor so that you can hand it over to you now. But thank you so much.
Awesome. Yes, that was amazing. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Nate. Thank you to our brilliant panel for sharing your time and expertise. I got so much out of this. I hope all of you who attended got as much as well. We'd like to thank again our esteemed assembly members who attended, Assemblymember Gomez Reyes and Nguyen. And thank you again to Lanika for a captivating demonstration. Thank you all for being here and being engaging and dropping the mic and all the things. The comments were definitely great. Want to just give a few things before I close out. Please visit our website, stay in touch with the chamber, keep updated with the things that our policy team and our advocacy team is doing. If you didn't know, we have a podcast called Space at the Table, and this will be our December release. So look out for our podcast, our notifications for our upcoming podcast. We will have one in November, but if you wanted to see this again, it will be our December release. And then please check the chat. We have a link in the chat for a survey. We want to continue to build and bring things, bring subjects to our members and to our small businesses that they find relevant and helpful, and to really take a policy look at it. So please take that feedback survey. And then last, look for an event recap email. Chris had mentioned his resource guide that he just released. And if you want to reach out, follow up with Lanika or any of our panelists, we will have information and links in that recap email. So I think that's all the things. And again, thank you all for being here today. And thank you for supporting CalAsian Chamber. You all have a great weekend.